Change direction, even though it hurts us. For I am open and I am willing for you to be open. Seems so strange, this honor must go before us. So lift me up, light of change. My yoke, my confusion, give me a desert to hold my fears. Sunrise to hold my wonder, give me an ocean to hold my tears. For I am open and I am willing for you to be open. Would seem so strange, this honor must go before us. So lift me up, light of change. So lift me up, light of change.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, or watch via computer that is to either
I am open and I am willing for you to be open. Would seem so strange, this honor must go before us. So lift me up, I am changed. This hurting in my family. There is sorrow in my town. And in this nation, there waiting the whole world come. I am open and I am listening for you to be called. So strange, there's all on earth, so be called. So take God, light of me. Your children see more clearly. Maybe I'll see more wise. Change caress us. I am open and I am willing to be open. It seems so strange. So let me light of change. Because my all my confusion, maybe I'm better. All my fear, all my wonder, all my fear. I am open and I am willing to be open. It seems so strange.
It's cold enough. It really is. Close to you? Probably not.
I mean, they're not gonna block the camera. Well, they're not gonna block the camera. Yeah, yeah.
That's perfect. If you all please be seated. Hi. What? Let's go back here. Such a far way. Maybe I put it here. The words in. There it is. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. How about here? Haley, let's do this on the end.
All of these microphones. Good afternoon, everybody. Hi. And what a good afternoon it is, right? I mean, what an occasion. I'm Elena Vera. I'm one of the ministers here at the Berkeley Fellowship of Unitarian Universalists. And I want to invite all of you here into our space, a space we love a lot. We're just so glad to have you here. And I want to invite you to do whatever it is you need to do to be present for this special occasion. Whether that means putting your cell phones in airplane mode so that you can still take pictures with them. Or getting comfortable in the space, looking around, being situated, recognizing where you are, feeling your weight, your seat, on the ground, and joining me in taking a nice, big, and settling breath, keeping your belly, but we're sharing the same air. Beautiful day to perform a sacrament, my friends. And today we are ordaining Tom McAninley to the ministry.
Yeah.
I want to offer a big welcome to Tom's family. I know some of you came quite a ways. So glad to have you here. Raise your hand and wave to everyone. Look at that. None of this happens without the support of family. Hard choice. And it means so much. Welcome, of course, to all of the clergy who have assembled here today of various faiths, denominations, and locations. It's always as you can see, we're all extra fancy today. It's always a strange to welcome someone, another person into our ranks. It's so important to have colleagues here to help guide someone along the way here and along the way forward in these relationships of collegiality. They help make us who we are. So the ministers, teachers, and comrades, the seminarians on the way to joining us, I see a couple of you. Thank you for being here. And welcome to all of the lay leaders, activists, and workers for justice who are here today, without whom none of this could be possible, and who are so vital to Tom's community and the commitments and path here and beyond. He remains one of you even as he becomes something new. And we are shoulder to shoulder here, and so grateful for the both such an effective leader. Thank you for honoring us with your presence and your power today. And welcome to all of those who are with us in spirit, those who are far distant, those who yearn to be here today. May we welcome you among us as close as the seed to the fruit and the breath to the bone. This space, the Berkeley Fellowship of Unitarian Universalists, has been a place for hoping and laboring for a better world for decades. In the heart of a city that has been a place for hoping and laboring for a better world for decades more. Tom McAninley has been part of that work for a long time. Today he seeks to add to that legacy in a new way, with a new commitment. An ordination isn't a job, or a promotion, or a graduation. It's more like a marriage. Today is the beautiful ceremony with family and colleagues and friends, and then it continues in a lifelong process full of new responsibilities, new commitments, new perspectives, new joys, new strengths, and new heartbreaks. Today is the wedding. The vocation only grows from it. In many traditions, ordination is considered an ontological change, which is a fancy seminary way of saying that it makes you into a different kind of person than you were before, in a way that is categorical, permanent, can't be taken back. It's a door to walk through. You can't go back through it. It's something that shapes everything else you do. It means there isn't going back, but there is plenty of forward. In the time since my own ordination, I found my vows affect everything, from my own choices to how others see me, to what the world expects of me and what I expect of myself. They kept me going when I thought I had nothing left to give, challenged me even when I wanted something easier, and helped me step more fully into my place in the world. And this world, with all its troubles, it needs us to move fully into our places in it, whatever those places may be. In seeking to be ordained, Tom is moving firmly further into his place in the world. And the day of ordination is a chance for us as a community to support and celebrate Tom in walking through this door into the rest of his life, to show him who he has already been, who he could be, and who will be with him along the way. It's a chance to be a part of those promises, part of those changes, and to say together, we know you've got this. Let's take another breath, everyone. Another deep breath. And another one, and when we breathe out, just make it a nice, right? We're all here. We're all in this together. Let's get this thing started. Now, if we would please all join together for the chalice lighting. Kathleen, if you could take this one.
I'm Tom's partner, Kathleen, and I've invited Virginia to light the chalice. Virginia is a past president of the board here. And as she lights the chalice, please read along with me in the order of service. We light this chalice to acknowledge our warm connection with each other and with all lives everywhere. May this sacred flame, the symbol of our faith, guide us in keeping our promise to safeguard our miraculous planet, its sweet air, its oceans teeming with life, and its precious soil that sustains our being.
It is a delight to be here today, to be with you. I would like to pay tribute to those who've gone before us and inspired him at the fellowship and in the local community. Reverend Paul Sawyer was a major force in leading activists against the death penalty by protesting and bearing witness at San Quentin prison on many occasions. He also was very active in many other social justice issues and carried the banner for BFU. Tom met Hal Karlstad after he retired from teaching science at MLK Junior Middle School. Hal devoted his life to social justice after retiring, and he was arrested more than 100 times in support of just causes. Helene Goodwin was an excellent professor of sociology at Laney College and modeled for Tom the value of having many circles of friends in order to have a rich and well-rounded life. Jean Cherie, a longtime member and board president and poet, was raised in the Jewish orphanage of Cleveland and supported himself through college and law school, and went on to dedicate his career to defending poor immigrants and other needy clients. Gene never forgot his roots. In the larger community, Tom met Reverend Lee Williamson, a Methodist minister, through the Angry White Guys for Affirmative Action. I still have one of those t-shirts. A group that Paul Rockwell, who was here, founded. Reverend Lee practiced social justice with a heart full of grace. Tom met and befriended Dr. Roy Twitcher and his wife Ellie through a dream group started by Salling Hindeman. Roy was the creator of clinical pastoral education for chaplains in California. He was a deeply religious and humble man. Father Bill O'Donnell from St. Joseph the Worker Church was Tom's favorite Catholic priest, and a photograph of Father Bill in a leather jacket at a demonstration hangs on Tom's refrigerator for inspiration every day.
Good afternoon. I have a story that I would like to share. Perhaps I'll bring up a chair, and any children who would like, or anyone else who would like to sit on the floor, anyone who can get back up again. Come on up so you can see the pictures better. No takers. Okay, we got it. There we go. Anyone else, feel free. Come on up. Come on up. Okay, you all hear me? All right. Good, I'm glad you came. All right. So the story is, most ministers wear sneakers. Ministers come in all shapes and sizes. Some are young and some are older. Some are men and some are women. Some have a lot of hair and some have almost none. Some are tall and some are short. Sometimes ministers wear special clothes to work, such as robes or collars or shawls. And you see a lot of those this afternoon here. Most of the time, they wear ordinary clothes, such as suits or dresses or even jeans. Some wear high heels. Some wear big, sturdy shoes. Most ministers wear sneakers at one time or another. It's like most of us do. Some ministers don't have jobs in churches or temples. Chaplain Hahn works at a hospital. He visited Jean Crenshaw when she had a baby. He also sat with the Sheldon family when Anna fell out of a tree and had to go to the emergency room. Sarah Jenkins is a minister who works at a counseling center. She listens to people talk and helps them solve problems, the kind of ministry that Tom has done for a long time. And Anna and Jerry Jackson went to Amy to stop fighting her little brother, and Mark and Judy Clemens want to stop arguing so much, and Tony Sanchez wants to stop being sad all the time. So these are some of the problems that ministers help people deal with. Some ministers teach in schools, Others work at prisons. Still others spend time with people in the neighborhood. When ministers of churches say, I'm going to work, what do they mean? Sometimes going to work means sitting at a desk in a church office. And other ministers will sit at a desk too. Sometimes they sit at a desk and read books that don't have any pictures in them. Sometimes ministers just sit at their desks and we don't know what they're doing or thinking. When Pastor Johnson preaches, she invites all the children to the front of the church, just like we did here this afternoon. Then she tells them a story. She also tells funny stories about people today. Even the adults laugh at those stories. Many days, ministers get in their cars and go to visit people. They go to visit people in the hospital, or they go to help people move into a neighborhood. They help people in many, many ways. Pastor Martin helped Melissa Nichols and Tom Wilson plan their wedding, and he helped the Chang family get settled in the United States. He also helped a man who just got out of jail find a job. It's like Tom does. Helps with job finding. A person who preaches or teaches or helps or leads must be very strong. That doesn't mean a minister has to lift weights or run in races. If I had to do that, I'd be in trouble. A minister must be strong in mind and heart. Chaplain Manuel must be strong when he goes to work at the prison. Pastor Lynn must be strong when she tells the Fong family that Cho Lee Fong has been in a bad car accident. Takes a lot of strength. To become strong, many ministers pray and study every day. Ministers don't work and pray all the time, though. They like to have fun, too. Rabbi Feinstein plays tennis on Thursdays. Father Contini works in his garden in the spring. Pastor Helen Polsky plays a guitar with a band. Pastor Pedro Diaz has an elephant collection. His elephants are made of clay and wood and glass. Sometimes a minister gets tired of going to work. Maybe she doesn't really feel like preaching another sermon. Or maybe he has to go to too many meetings. Maybe he'd rather stay home and play checkers. But ministers like their job most of the time. They like being ministers. When Mr. Rossi says, your visit to me in the hospital really cheered me up. They like being ministers when the children's choir sings on Sunday morning. They like being ministers when the church finds a home for a family that doesn't have one. Ministers especially like when you shake hands with them and you say, I want to be a minister someday too. So today we make a new minister out of one who already is, but we formally acknowledge his ministry and ordain him to the ministry on this wonderful occasion. offer the reading, was not able to be here. She had surgery this week. So I read her words about Tom and then the readings she selected. On this day of Tom McAninley's ordination, I want to honor the kind of courage he has. We need it very much in this dark time. Dark socially, ecologically, and spiritually. Courage to face things as they are and still speak out with honesty and trust in the power of the human spirit is a rare and shining thing. Since our first meeting at Star King decades back, I've seen it in Tom. The poem I want to read honors this capacity by the great German lyric poet Rainer Maria Rilke. It is the last sonnet in his Sonnets to Orpheus, written not long before his death in the mid-1920s. My co-translator Anita Barrows and I were working on this English version of the poem at the very time that our nation, steeped in lies and greed, was invading Iraq in March 2003. Our hearts were very heavy, but we found that this particular sonnet gave us staying power and a great willingness to be present. Ever since then, over the intervening years, this sonnet has consistently been to me both a consolation and a summons. It helped me know why I was born. I expect Tom will recognize that as well. Here's the sonnet she selected by Rilke. Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you. Let this darkness be a bell tower, and you the bell. As you ring, what batters you becomes your strength. Move back and forth into the change. What is it like? Such intensity of pain. If the drink is bitter, turn yourself to wine. In this uncontainable night, be the mystery at the crossroads of your senses, the meaning discovered there. And if the world has ceased to hear you, say to the silent earth, I flow. To the rushing water, I speak, I am. And for a second reading, receive the sermon, I offer this one by Thomas Merton, which was written at the height of the Vietnam War. And you will notice that it is as relevant today as when it was written. We are living in the greatest revolution in history, a huge, spontaneous upheaval of the entire human race. Not a revolution planned and carried out by any particular party, race, or nation, but a deep, elemental boiling over of all the inner contradictions that have ever been. A revelation of the chaotic forces inside everybody. This is not something we have chosen, nor is it something we are free to avoid.
They say that love is a constant calling. They say that love is a constant calling. They say that love is a constant calling. Oh, you've been calling so long that it must be love. Tom, here we are. It's been a long time coming for this moment. It seems to me serendipitously appropriate for us to be here today to ordain you into the liberal and liberating ministry of Unitarian Universalism at this changing of the seasons, this start of a new year in the Jewish calendar, these days of awe between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It is an annual time when we are all asked to take stock of our lives and to examine our behavior of the past and renew our vows to living life more deeply and more congruently with the values of love and justice and greater life. It is a constant yearning, a constant calling. It is a time of great change we live in, literally and metaphorically. And the world needs you. 27 years ago, I first met Tom. We were both incoming freshmen at the GTU, the Graduate Theological Union, and at Starr King School for the Ministry. We were both on work-study plans, making our way through seminary, and we often worked late nights together, rocking out to the sounds of the Gypsy Kings, or mellowing to the then early sounds of Enya, or taking strength and inspiration in the songs of Sweet Honey. Our friendship deepened over breaks from our work and talking about what we were doing and learning, where we came from, where we thought we were going. And we took many classes together. Two that were especially memorable were Joanne Milgram's class on Jewish life and spiritual practices, and Joanna Macy's class in environmental ethics, teaching us how to keep hope alive in a world of despair. We marched together against the first Iraq War, and although at times our paths distanced and diverged, we have in many ways been marching together to the same drumbeat. Tom, I have always admired your heart and your compassion for others. You have taught me to listen more deeply and to be more present to people. I thank you for sharing and for showing me what it is to live and to serve with an open heart, and to heed that still small voice within, and to be still and know, as the scriptures say. It is an honor to be here today and to be back at this place where you, Tom, have long launched your social justice work, and in this place which called me back to the serving and the learning and the joy of parish ministry. Thank you. Today, I'm especially appreciative to this fellowship for your faith in Tom and to ordain him today. I have long awaited this day and was so very glad when, Tom, you got the wake-up call to take this step into ordination, a ministry in which you have long been engaged, with or without answering that call formally. You are fulfilling the journey you began so many years ago, even before your days at Starr King School, on the streets of Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose, especially here in Berkeley with your leadership within and beyond these walls at the Berkeley Fellowship. In fact, your whole life. And here we are. Hallelujah. I'm thinking now of the words of the late Dick Gregory, the American comedian and civil rights activist who, when finally given a Lifetime Achievement Award for his unfaltering courage in speaking the truth to power with both wit and wisdom, began his acceptance speech by saying, "What took you so long?" What took you so long? What takes us so long? It doesn't really matter, I suppose, because you have been answering the call all along, always moving within that call that you heard in your heart to this day. The call kept summoning you, would not let you go, like Jonah and the whale. Welcome to Nineveh. Welcome to Nineveh, that place where you are called into the next whole-bodied, full-voiced commitment. The one that you have heard and answered quietly is now to be made public for all to see and hear. And yet, in some ways, it does not matter at the same time. It does matter because it is important to bring our power and our influence into the arena of the world, each of us, in every way we can. You know, sometimes we can be a little hard of hearing. A little hard of hearing, I say. We think the call of love is some siren call not to be trusted. But it will get our attention eventually. Even if it took the election of 2016 to wake a lot of people up to answer the call of love. Some ways, Donald J. Trump has been very good for business. The business of awakening spirits to justice. We need to see and hear you, Tom, loud and clear, which is to say it's never too late to do something amazing. Consider the following. At 54, Annie Jump Cannon became the first astronomer to classify the stars according to spectral type. At 56, Mao Zedong founded the People's Republic of China. At 57, Frank Dobish competed in his first 100-mile bicycle ride, exactly 10 years after he was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. Satchel Paige became the oldest active Major League Baseball player, retiring at the age of 59. At 62, J.R.R. Tolkien published the first volume of his series, Lord of the Rings. Jazz musician Miles Davis defiantly performed his final live album at 65, just weeks before he died. At 72, Margaret Ringberg flew an airplane around the world. Cancer survivor Barbara Hillary became one of the oldest people and the first Black woman to reach the North Pole at the tender age of 75. At 79, Asa Long became the oldest U.S. checkers champion. At 87, Mary Baker Eddy founded the Christian Science Monitor. Marc Chagall became the first living artist to be exhibited at the Louvre Museum at the age of 90. At 95, Nola Oakes became the oldest person to receive a college diploma. At 97, Martin Miller was still working full-time as a lobbyist on behalf of the benefits for seniors. At 99, Teki Agarashi climbed Mount Fuji. And at 100, Frank Shearer seems to be the oldest active water skier in the world. People are doing extraordinary things all the time. And there's no reason we can't be among them. It is never too late to answer the call. Because as Thomas Merton tells us, given the times in which we find ourselves living between the revolution that is the deep elemental boiling over of all the inner contradictions that have ever been, and the revelation of the chaotic forces inside everybody. This is not something we have chosen, nor is it something we are free to avoid. This is the time. And like you, Tom, more and more people are manifesting their power through service, though we yet may resist. We live our days within the choice, as E.B. White once put it, to savor or to save the world, to live our days enjoying the beauty and good things in life or engaged in making ourselves and the world better. Given the choice, White concludes, it makes it so very hard to plan the day. And this choice between answering the tempting call of enjoying ourselves or the more challenging invitation to engage in its transformation, we are daily asked to decide. Which will it be? Which call will we answer? Will we savor or save the world? How will we plan our day? The church embodies this dilemma in a unique way. There is a paradox within organized religion, within religious communities, which is at the heart of the matter for people of faith at this critical and important revolution and revelation of time and history. And this paradox is thankfully alive and well for our engagement, for we need to be in the uncomfortable position of both living out our faith and making our communities more effective and more lively places for feeding that faith. Religion at its best is no friend to the status quo. Religion transforms people. No one touches holy ground and stays the same. Religious leaders of all types stir the pot by pointing to the contrast between life as it is and life as it should be, urging us always to close the gap between the two. Religious insights and awakenings, whenever and however they occur, provide us with the handhold people need to speak against injustice, to rise above self-interest and privilege, and to take uncomfortable risks to provide healing and transformation to a wounded world. Organization, on quite the other hand, conserves. Institutions, no matter how radical they wish to be, capture, structure, budget for, and codify persistent patterns of activities for their longevity. People sometimes say institutions are conservative and smile as if they'd said something clever. But conservation is what institutions do and need to do for health, wholeness, and sustainability. There is efficacy in simply being the church, which unfortunately is what turns some people off. But a well-organized congregation creates schedules and procedures and puts policies on paper and places people in positions of power and service, and generally brings order out of chaos. Organizations can be flexible, creative, and iconoclastic, but only by resisting some of their most basic instincts, which is to resist change by preserving the status quo. No wonder organized religion is so hard. Congregations create sanctuaries where people can nurture and inspire each other with results no one can ever predict. The stability of a religious institution is necessary for the instability that religious transformation brings into being. The need to balance both sides of this equation, this paradox, both the transforming power of the Spirit at work in the world and the stabilizing power of organization, the body incarnate in the world, makes leading congregations a unique challenge. The purpose of church, the people, is to bring both organizational stability, effectiveness, sustainability for the long haul, and a prophetic voice calling for constant reform to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And the two are sometimes at odds. Decorum, policy, procedure, order, and public witness, transforming people and the world, the constant calling of creating a world that has yet to be, but is yearning to become what it must to bring greater justice and peace and equity into the world. We must budget for it. My question to you, the Berkeley Fellowship of Unitarian Universalists, is how do we restore a world that is broken? Systems that are broken. People that are broken. By answering the call of love as an institution dedicated to both the spirit and the body of a faith that recognizes the need for both. How do we both savor and save? How do we answer the perpetual call of love as a community of people dedicated to transforming ourselves and the world? That is the challenge. And if the world has ceased to hear you, say to the silent word, earth, I flow. To the rushing waters, speak, I am. Answer the call. Tom and I met the first year the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker began her more than 20-year tenure as president at the Star King School for the Ministry. And the words of her first open letter as president that year still echo. Indeed, they have been amplified within our denomination and offer us a viable answer to the paradox in which we find ourselves. She wrote then, and we hear today, your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or to curse the word. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. And any of these can lock the prison door, can hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You, we must answer this question. What will we do with our gifts? Choose, she says, to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, of wonder, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide within us, through us, among us. There is an embrace of kindness and love that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and for this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. But more, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor to share, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility. Waiting, calling. When we choose to bless the world, we close the gap between what is and what yet may be. We get into proximity to that which is in need of blessing. We listen to the lies and the reasons that lock the problem into place and learn to change the narrative with the truth spoken in love. We maintain the fire of commitment and the beacon of hope that shines from it when we open the circle of our compassion, renew, restore, revive ourselves with practices grounded in the values that keep hope alive. We take care of our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our souls. We do not burn out, but tap into the fount of joy that is eternal hope. And we stay uncomfortable. 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 And we don't cave into hate or fear or divisiveness. We stay woke. We remain open. We stay the course. We answer the call to love. I want to leave you with these words by Julia Corbett-Haymeyer. Tom, may they be a blessing for your continued ministry, and indeed to the continuing response of this Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in its ever-changing, ever-unfolding questioning and answering of love's call. We answer the call of love. In the face of hate, we answer. In the face of exclusion, we answer the call of inclusion. In the face of homophobia and transmisogyny, we answer the call of LGBTQ rights. In the face of racism, we answer the call for justice of all people. In the face of xenophobia, we answer the call of pluralism. In the face of misogyny, we answer the call of women's rights. In the face of demagoguery, we answer the call of reason. In the face of religious intolerance, we answer the call of diversity. In the face of narrow nationalism, we answer the call of global community. In the face of bigotry, we answer the call of open-heartedness. In the face of despair, we again and yet again answer the call of hope and love. In so doing, we stand, we sit, we roll, we march, we move, we speak, we pray, we sing, we answer the call of love. Let us rise as we are able in body and spirit, and let us answer the call of love. This song we're about to sing, which you will find in the Teal hymnal, is called Standing on the Side of Love. We have morphed, we have grown, we have expanded our embrace to say it needs to be a clarion call to answer the call of love. So wherever you see the word standing on the side of love, we invite you to insert answering the call of love. Let us rise and sing. Amen.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love, and so every soul is blessed and behold, the truth in our hearts is our God. We are answering the call of love. Let's join together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we go to barrier to keep love tightly bound, interrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, but knowing the beauty we love. We are answering the call of love. Let's join together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Let's join together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love.
Yeah, clearly I need to get a sense of where I am right now. Good to see you. Good to see you. One thing I loved about that, man, was that we are people that have been in the trenches. Tom is someone who has been in the trenches. This is kind of a field promotion for Tom. This is really he's been to the Officers Candidate School of Star King, for the School for Religious Leadership, yes. But really, he comes from the trenches. Many of you in this room have bonded in battle. Many of you have bonded between struggles from Selma to the cold midnights outside San Quentin. And you're going to have a chance to do it some more because the opportunity has arisen. Lucky us, because we're humans. And you know what that means? We love war. It's true. It's embarrassingly true. But that's where we bond. Nothing gets men to love other men like being in the trenches. It's just the truth. But we have to remember, even though it is an end in itself, we're doing it for a reason. In the moment that you know what you do not want, you know exactly what you want. We often forget it. We stay stuck on the pain that we're feeling. But the truth of the matter is in the moment that you experience something that you do not like and you do not want, you know exactly what it is you want. So I'm going to do something in a second, and in that moment, I want you to get the vision of what it is you want. And the thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to snap my fingers. That's it. Can you see it? Because if I remind you of the battles that you've been in, you will remember them clearly. Can you remember the vision that you hold for the world that you want as clearly and as quickly? Can you bring it to mind? Fast. Because that's what you need to be paying attention to. Tom has some vision of a world that he wants to create. And we're going to help him with that today. So our contributions today are going to go to his vision today. But I want you to remember this. It's not actually about keeping your eye on your adversary. It's not really about keeping your eye on whatever tool or weapon is coming up at you at the time. It's a matter of keeping your eye on the what? Vision. Oh, let's try it again. See, I told you it would happen fast. Keep your eye on the, now I want you to say it like you're warriors and you mean it. Keep your eye on the, Tom's promise. For more than 45 years, Berkeley Food Project and Housing Project has provided a comprehensive range of housing, food, and support services to those in need, from homelessness into a safe and affordable home of their own. We accomplish our work in partnership with the City of Berkeley. I should say they accomplish their work in partnership with the City of Berkeley, other government agencies, and a robust network of local service providers. Many of the volunteers offer their time, their energy,
and their talents. Vital financial support is derived from a mix of public funding, individual giving, that's you, private foundations, and corporate charitable contributions. Now, the other vision that Tom has is for youth, artistic youth. Now, here's the thing. Schools pay great attention to students who want to study numbers and money, to students who want to study engineering, to students who want to study computer information systems and so forth. But regardless of whether they are children of color, whether they're LGBTQ, it does not matter. Children who are artistically inclined do not get the same attention, do not get the same encouragement, and are not valued in the same way. So one of the things that this group, what does it stand for, Tom?
Youth Spirit Arts.
Youth Spirit Arts. Artworks, okay. What they do is they teach young people who are either at risk or in marginal positions in our society, who have artistic vision, who have artistic talent or want to develop that in themselves, how to make that connect with the world. And they're doing things like they have put together a mural at the Malcolm X School. They put together a mural. What is the one that's on Alcatraz? What is the one on Alcatraz Street? It's a large tree, and it's going to go into a project that's going to go on. They have done murals that have encouraged people to reduce and to curtail some of their intake of sugary sodas. You know about this? This is something that's really impacting the community, particularly some of our communities in this area. To move beyond that, they have gotten pledges from over 600 adults and young people, pledges from them to change their habits in those areas. They are making real difference. Additionally, this organization is teaching those artistic children how to be entrepreneurs, how to make money doing art, how to bring that art into focus in the community. That's a vision. That's a world we want to create. It's not fancy. It's not dramatic, or it's very dramatic. It's not as exciting, perhaps, as hating our enemies at this point, who are really doing a very good job of waking us up to those kind of things as well. But it is the vision that you might want to live with. Include beauty in that. Now's your chance.
You can make checks out to BFUU. That's for the Berkeley Fellowship of Unitarian Universalists, and the nice to see you all. See you. It's always nice to stand up in front of a room and you know everybody in the room. You're all friends, and you're all supporters. I mean, it's not just thank you all for coming. Thank you BFUU will equally divide between the Berkeley Food and Housing and the Youth Spirit Arts program.
Please join in on the chorus of the song. The words are in your order of service.
I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. Dishonors that go before us, so lift me up to the light and change. In my family, there is sorrow in my town. In the nation, there is wailing the whole world round. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. His honors will go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. See more clearly, lady elders, be more wise. The winds of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. His honors must go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Oh, like the future, desert to hold my fears, sunset to hold my wonder, give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. If His honors just go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. So lift me up to the light of change.
It's a nice view up here. So the fact is what's happened is that we've come to the center of the service. Music has welcomed us in, and in fact, we have joined in and sung as well. We've been called into worship. For the service, with all its multiple purposes, is to be sure a service in shared community in which we affirm what is worthy. We affirm what is worthy. That's one way of looking at what worship is all about. Chalice flame burns brightly now twice. It's wonderful. Greetings have been offered. The children have been gifted with a story, quite an amazing story. I think many of the ministers here are wondering how they can get their hands on that book. And they've been sung out, and they are now in their own age-appropriate circle. Wise elders' words have been laid down. And our central spoken tradition, the sermon, has reinforced our commitment and our commitments, and especially our commitment to freedom of the pulpit, and to the call to listen deeply in both heart, mind, and spirit. We've been asked to give of our financial resources to make real our commitment to support real work in real time and real community, and we have responded. So now then, we come to the act of ordination itself. And it's here, through the deep traditions of religious and philosophical proclamation, that the power of the congregation, that is you, a covenantal community of people in love with truth, with justice, and with love itself, exercises one of its most powerful and careful acts, conferring the mantle of reverend upon a single human being. In our tradition, no other body, no other group, no other authority, no other structure, ecclesial or otherwise, can perform or sanction that act. It is, in fact, you, the people. You, the people. But that authority is vested. It is through this ritual exchange of words between a congregation and an ordinand that the title of reverend in our tradition is conferred. It is through that dialogue that the mantle of ministry is given, and it is given for life. For life. So my request of you right now, before we enter this act of ordination together, this moment of power, where we conjure up power, where we share power, where we then confer power. My request of you is to pause, just for a moment, so that you can feel your own breath. It is on our breath, it is on your breath, that the words carrying the power to ordain will be made manifest. So let's just breathe together again for just a moment, so you can feel that power, that embodied reality that keeps you here and present in this life on this planet and in this work. So neat. And so, Tom, will you come up and Doug? Okay. So then it's going to be like
my name is Elaine Ryder, and I'm the Vice President of the Berkeley Board of Trustees, standing in for the President. Within the Unitarian Universalist religious movement, the authority to confer ordination lies wholly with the local church or fellowship. It is a meaningful and joyous occasion when a congregation joins together, as we have today, to recognize one who has chosen the ministry as his life's work. We come together this afternoon to ordain Thomas Patrick McAninley into community ministry. Will the members of this congregation please rise and say these words together? We, the members of the Berkeley Fellowship of the Unitarian Universalists, hereby ordain you, Thomas Patrick McAninley, to be a community minister. We would have you speak to us of truth and to see it. Teach us of the wonder and mystery of life and each other. Challenge us in witnessing to our moral and ethical concerns. Share with us our human joys and sorrows. Celebrate the principles of our faith and serve us with love. We pledge ourselves so far as in us, to walk with you in unity of spirit, in the bond of peace, in love and truth as we see it.
Thomas Patrick McAninley's family, colleagues, and friends also wish to participate in this occasion. Will you please rise and join us in saying the words below? Thomas Patrick McAninley,
you have our lives in many ways. You have supported us on processes. You have us, living with us, and celebrated with us in times of joy. You have given steady loyalty, wise counsel, and delightful companionship. We are proud of you as we too enter the future of our organization.
And we all join together in saying,
we celebrate your presence now as one of our community ministers.
You can be seated. It is with joy and a deep sense of responsibility that I now accept the ministry which you, all of you, ordained me. I will keep alive the flame of the service so that my ministry and my life will be enriched by the spirit and trust you have given one another. It is with understanding and faith that I pledge to continue our mutual search to nurture and stimulate curiosity, enthusiasm, and questioning, to encourage growth and tenderness, to foster a sense of wonder and mystery about the universe, and to act courageously in our quest for truth, peace, and justice. Amen.
Okay, why don't you stand down to actually on congregational level. So as you can see, we're not finished with Tom yet. Even though he's already heady with power. The ritual dialogue of words has taken place. Did that. Tom's declared his readiness and his willingness to accept the mantle of minister. But there are a few more things that we need to do together to seal this covenant. One of those is to further manifest the words that have been spoken in an additional way, and that is with a touch of our hands. I want to begin this part of the ordination ceremony, this laying on of hands, by offering a prayer in the form of a poem that just came to me this week. It's a poem that begins with the flight of geese. High-flying, strong-bodied geese. A deep symbol here today of the unencumbered naturalness of sentient beings for whom this living planet is both source and home, and we are numbered among them. So for today, what I want you to do is to let the geese in this poem and the prayer they evoke from the poet open us to the deeper, unlanguaged reality or the natural competence of the body. Carries us into realms of power that we express through touch, through silent intention, and through love. For today, let this poem be a prayer for Tom's going forth into ministry, and for the hope that he will truly rely on the deepest of sources to maintain and empower his work as a fully ordained Unitarian Universalist minister. poem is called What We Need Is Here by Wendell Berry. What we need is here. Geese appear high over us. They pass, and the sky closes. Abandon, as in love or sleep, holds them to their way. Abandon holds them to their way. Clear in the ancient faith. What we need is here. And we pray not for a new earth. We pray not for a new earth or heaven, but to be quiet in heart and in eye clear. What we need is here. Let's hear it again one time, all the way through. Geese appear high over us, pass, and the sky closes. Abandon, as in love or sleep, holds them to their way, clear in the ancient faith. What we need is here. And we pray not for new earth or heaven, but to be quiet in heart and in eye clear. What we need is here. So, into this covenant of affirming power, of allowing ourselves to be embodied pathways of power, because that's what this putting hands on means, embodied pathways of power. We're now going to enter. Though we do not fly, we walk in our human journey on life-giving paths that are consecrated by our passion for justice and love in this deeply, deeply beleaguered world. And consecrated as well by our passion for participation in the rituals. That's this, that set us free because they celebrate life. So it's fitting that at this time of the ordination, we come into this laying on of hands. What could be more grounding and more humbling than to fully acknowledge the body, right? To welcome it into our awareness, to allow ourselves to dwell within its magnificent power. That's what we're going to do in a minute. We're going to be in the magnificent power of our body. So as you have chosen, you're standing. Now I'm going to give you directions, and we're going to come up as I invite you. And that first is Tom's family. Would you please come up now and place your hands upon Tom? Family forms the innermost social connection to life because it's where you draw your deepest source of support. So now will Tom's colleagues come forward and put your hands upon him or upon someone whose hands meet him. Colleagues form the second ring of connection because it's through them that the skills to carry on this work are ably supported, and because colleagues walk in love immediately at your side as you minister in the work. This is your tribe. Now, members of this congregation, please come forward. All others gathered here, come forward and make bodily connection within the rings that have been created. So friends and community form a base of support that's necessary for life. Absolutely necessary for life. This is what we have. Community here. Support of this one. So this container is created. Family, colleagues, confidence, friends. We all stand now in connection. Let us breathe together. Breathe in and out. Together. Let us breathe conscious of the great flow that infuses our bodies, bringing the earth-born chemicals and the energetic mana that gives life, breath that gives us life. Would you all now, please, let yourself imagine these virtues that I will name. Peace. Healing. Strength. Courage. And those imagined, let them ride on a wave of love through your body to the center of the circle where Tom McAninley stands. For Tom, for the healing of the world, so we're all gathered here in touch with this fine man, this consecrated minister, and all gathered here go forth living true to the integrity of the body and the spirit of love which created this very moment. And may you, Tom, go forth from here knowing the deep breath which sustains us, that is the very breath of life. May you go forth knowing the feel of these precious hands upon you, and the hands upon shoulders upon hands. The feel of all these here who love you, who stand beside you, and attention and care in this ceremony of your ordination. May that knowing take up a deep residence in your body and in your mind and in your heart and in your spirit. All my relations. Shalom, shalom, and blessing. Spasibo. Gracias. Namaste.
We're going to have to listen to that.
Please rise and join us in singing number 348, Divide My Kingdom.
I'm going to ask you to stand over here. I am absolutely thrilled to be here, to be part of this ordination service, where your calling to ministry is publicly witnessed, affirmed, and celebrated. It has been quite a journey from your graduation from Star King to this especially holy time and place. Your journey has not been without purpose and significant learning and involvement. Indeed, it has been one of authentically seeking and learning to be of service. This journey has opened you to the heartbreaks and possibilities of communities in struggle. Central America, Iraq, local communities, and to individuals needing just a listening ear, elders, impoverished people, those who need healing, those suffering from drug abuse. It is the most enormous extension of vision to which life is capable, the projection of itself into other lives, said Lauren Isley. Not only have you worked with secular organizations, you have also worked with church folk. The question that I raise is not why it took so long, but why are you still willing to be ordained? Because you know that folks can know your last nerve. I charge you to embrace what Philip Wood said. Character may be manifested in great moments, but it is made in small ones. I adjure you to keep searching for common ground, even though you may be seared by flames of years of hope, hurt, and pain that may come from those with whom you work. Maintain your grounding and the joy in living that comes through so beautifully through your countenance. The joy in your voice, the bounce in your steps. We are like a straight line from a poem, whichever feels that it rhymes with another line and must find it or miss its own fulfillment. The Civil Rights Movement was an authentic expression of Christian values as you understood them. Dr. Martin Luther King inspired you to matriculate at Star King School for the Ministry. Your deep appreciation of the Sermon on the Mount is etched in your memory, embodied in your work, and incarnated in your living. Mahatma Gandhi saw the Sermon on the Mount as a document articulating and inspiring non-violent action. He stated, when your country, Britain, and mine shall get together on the teachings laid down by Christ in his Sermon on the Mount, we shall have solved the problems not only of our country, but those of the whole world. I charge you to remember that more important than what you expect from life is what life expects from you. And give of yourself to what life seeks of you. And you will be given the strength and the wisdom to meet your needs and to do what you've been called to do. Hold on to your integrity. Thurman said there is something in every one of us that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true God you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, you will all of your life spend your days on the ends of strings that somebody else will. And I say to you, if you do not share that personality that you have, born of your genuine quest for authenticity, you will deprive the world of God's fresh expression of truth, justice, and love in the world through your meekness. Believe in the future. Have faith that what ought to be can be. Believe that the contradictions of life are neither final nor ultimate. Time, take seriously the power and the authority bestowed upon you through the title of Reverend. Authority, power to lead with authority, to confront institutions and systems that deny beloved community, and the search for common ground. General Parker upholds you by saying, I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long run. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. And from what I see, I am sure it bends toward justice. Risk, dare, be audacious. Proclaim with word, emotion, body. Evoke, as Walter Brueggemann said, what Jesus did. Evoke a passion and an energy that had disappeared in the old helplessness. Help those you encounter sense an unmanaged newness coming, creating a future quite different from the one the royal domination intended to prevent. Pave the way for the coming newness by preparing people for that newness, by opening the way for the new life. Equip the people with the imagination to believe in that possibility. Create room for wonder and amazement. Tom, help people prepare for and see how marvelously they are made, to embrace the power inherent in being created in the image and imagination of the author of creation, the universe, the cosmos, and help them to seize this critical time. For the same author is available to guide our feet while we run this race. Stand firm in the fire of your commitment, declaring, I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, or keep on talking, marching up the freeway.
It is my joy to be with you on this stellar day. As the winds of the equinox stir air and sea in a profound change of season, you, Reverend Tom, have come before us to enter a profound change in the seasons of your life. You have now stood before us and received the sacred act of ordination by this congregation, which you have served in so many ways over the years. And you have now crossed the threshold from lay leader to ordained minister. You have heard and received the charge to guide your ministry going forward. It's time for me now to stand and represent all that circle of women and men whose lives also were changed forever by the act of ordination, and to welcome you into our circle as our colleague. You come to this day as the world is crying out for spiritual leaders with moral authority who will speak to us and call us to wake up, to overcome oppression, to heal our planet from the assault of greed and willful ignorance, to affirm the independent web that binds us together as human beings and with all that lives. Instead of ducking into retirement from your profession and playing bridge and going fishing all day, you have heard this crying out of the world, and in obedience, you have stepped over this threshold and accepted the challenge of ministry. Our Reverend Carolyn Colbert wrote, for another newly ordained minister, a message you need to hear as well. She wrote, I'm sure you didn't rush into this because your whole life has been a long and important journey of longing and labor and love. And this reverence stuff, well, that's the hard labor, the late night phone call maybe that makes you weep. And there's love. It will catch you up when you least expect it and make your neck hairs stand up and travel down your body and curl your toes. And there will be disappointments. Your feelings will be hurt. You will feel abandoned. That's when you need to remember that you have been loved since before the beginning, and it will not let you go. Remember and take that love into the world. The Persian poet Hafiz understood this inner struggle as well 700 years ago when he wrote, perhaps for 1 minute out of the day, it may be of value to torture yourself with thoughts like, I should be doing a hell of a lot more with my life than I am because I'm so damn talented. But remember, for just 1 minute out of the day, with all the rest of your time, it would be best to try looking upon yourself more as God does. For God knows your true royal nature. God is never confused and can only see himself in you. This defines the grace that has been given you, as well as any words can define grace. So, in this sacred time and space. We recognize that grace that has been given to you. With these words of counsel for your journey, and with the love of all of us clergy everywhere, I now welcome you into our circle of colleagues with the right hand of fellowship.
We, as representatives of the Berkeley Fellowship of Unitarian Universalist Congregation, invest you with this stole as a sign of your dedication and commitment to us. As you go forward in ministry, may our stole inspire a spirit of love to guide you and a spirit of joy to infuse your work. May your service bless the world.
So I'm going to give this very brief benediction, and then we will have the recessional hymn, and ministers and seminarians will process out, and then we're going to, all of us are going to go out into the yard for a few minutes and imbibe some wonderful, if you're so inclined, some beer, wine, water, juice, while other volunteers are going to set up some tables for the reception, and we're going to have a full meal, and it's going to be great. So, and we don't have to do it alone. As a matter of fact, we can't do it alone. We cannot. As hard as we try, we have to accept. Acceptance is big, isn't it? We have to fully, deeply, in our spirits, in our minds, in our hearts, and our souls, accept the fact that we can't do this alone. But we have come too far. All of our ancestors, bear with me, have struggled and sacrificed to make us possible. To be hopeless would be worse than strange. When our hunger for healing and our passion for justice meet, then we all can be the ringers of this freedom bell. When we see our faces in each other's eyes, we can accomplish our heart's desires. Blessed be to all of us. Amen. And thanks for supporting me. Thank you.